Are you saying that Taiwan, the small island nation, a developing country, the manufacturing juggernaut, could somehow have the world's finest airline? You gotta be kidding me. The mundane topic of airlines? Who gives a shit? Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This video is about Taiwan's EVA Airlines. EVA was founded by the Evergreen Transportation Group, one of the biggest intermodal container ship transportation companies in the world. I'll let both industry statistics and your user experiences determine this. Taiwan may have the world's best airline, EVA Air. And when you think of best flying experiences, you know, Air Emirates or Qatar Air might come to mind with the private first class bed style seating with shower options, tickets starting at $20,000, $30,000. What I'm talking about is the overall quality of service, experience, reliability, and food, and general comfort of the flight in economy class, which is how most people fly. So yeah, there's certainly these incredibly expensive high-end flying options. That's not what this video is about, and I think you're going to be surprised to hear what EVA has to offer. So EVA was founded several decades ago by, as I mentioned, the Evergreen Group, the largest transportation group in the world at one time. They're still one of the biggest. You've probably seen semi-trucks or containers with giant words Evergreen and block letters across them. Of course, they've also been in the news in recent years as they've built the largest container ships in the world, one which famously got sideways in the Suez Canal and blocked global shipping traffic through the canal for a period of time. Of course, that was the actual Egyptian pilots on board the ship when it ran aground. It was not Evergreen's pilots, but nonetheless, it kind of gave a bad mark on their name. And there was another one more recently off the east coast of the United States in the Chesapeake Bay, which also ran aground there, although there was not such a massive global impact on shipping. Anyways, back to the story. So first off, there's a industry rating service called SkyTrax that's used in the commercial airline industry to rate airlines on their service, timeliness, safety, and it's called SkyTrax. Out of the 5-star rated airlines in the world, there are just 9 out of the 770 globally recognized commercial airlines. Those 9 5-star rated airlines are ANA Nippon from Japan, Asiana Airlines from Korea, Cathay Pacific, which was founded by the British in Hong Kong way back in 1946, of course, EVA in Taiwan, Hainan Airlines, which is China CCP, Japan Airlines, Korea Air, Qatar Air, and Singapore Airlines. And you might notice a theme there. 90% of the top-rated airlines in the world are already Asian airlines. Further, when EVA was going to be launched, what they did was leverage the Japanese knowledge and know-how. All of their ticketing staff, stewardesses, pilots, they were all sent to Japan to learn from the Japanese carriers and go through extensive training there before the airline was launched. Therefore, you'll notice that there's a lot of Japanese qualities that were adopted by EVA Airlines. Of course, Taiwan was also part of Japan until the close of World War II. So a lot of Japanese influence that you'll notice there. But first off, when you're arrived at the airport, before you even get on your flight, you might notice kind of the military style lineup of the pilots and the stewardesses walking, single file through the airport. I mean, right away you get a feel that, okay, this is different airline. This is, they run a tight ship here. Further, there's probably double the amount of stewardesses on an EVA flight compared to like North American flights in general. So there's just a lot more service available. They seem to be much friendlier in general, helpful. The food and meal options are amazing. Prior to your flight, you can actually go onto the website and they offer a couple of dozen different options depending on what your food needs and requirements are. But also on the actual flight, even if you don't do that on the flight itself, you'll be given a menu for each meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it'll typically have kind of a Western option. If you're not that adventuresome or haven't tried the Asian food before, maybe that's the way you go, or you have young kids and that's their preference. And then they have the Taiwanese style meal options. The food is top notch, the best I've had. And I've flown all carriers around the world. And, I was hoping like Air France and British Air and Lufthansa, those airlines were going to have that high-end experience. But actually, even Air France was just mediocre finger foods with poor quality wine. It was a real disappointment. So one of the best opportunities about traveling to Asia is traveling on one of the Asian airlines. Literally, you will sense right at that point, getting on that flight, that you are leaving another world behind and beginning your trip and journey. And it's just an awesome way to start your vacation or your travel abroad for work. And I've traveled EVA Airlines for decades. I've never had a bad experience. It's always been great. I've also traveled on quite a few of the other Asian airlines as well, and I have to say, the quality is well beyond anything that I had ever experienced in North American carriers or European carriers. One of the Taiwan's newest carriers is called Starlux Airlines, and it's just taking flight. And you might see it one day on the SkyTrax 5-star rated airline list. They had a bit of a rocky start. The original launch date was just at the outbreak of the China cough as it swept the globe, and they'd already committed to buying 27 Airbus jets at that time, but they couldn't make any passenger flights. Starlux was actually launched by EVA's former chairman in an unusual twist. As the company takes delivery of their air fleet, Starlux's founder, he's also an accomplished pilot. He actually goes to Europe and flies those jets back to Taiwan. So some of the things that you'll appreciate that I did on EVA Airlines, not only the meals, the service level, and it's pretty much all you can eat as well. I mean, anytime they'll, are you still hungry? I mean, they'll happily give you another meal. And I've seen many other people do this. I've done it probably on every flight at least a couple of times, and I've never seen anybody charged extra for it. I don't even know if they have the means of collecting payment for that. In addition to that, there's in-between meals. There might be ramen noodles. Anytime you can go to the galley in the plane, they always have baskets of all types of snacks and bottled drinks available anytime you want them. In addition to that, it's pretty much unlimited beer and wine. They serve it with the meals, and you can always go back and say, hey, could I, have another beer or a glass of wine? And again, I've never been charged for it. In addition to the great levels of service, the food and drinks, they also just some nice little amenities. They give you a little bit of a pair of slides you can put on if you want to slip your shoes off and get more comfortable. You can ask for eye shades, earplugs. They used to give those to everybody, but over the years, they've kind of made that more of a request-only item. They also have nice pillows and blankets. The blankets used to be kind of a thing unto themselves, very unique. Even for economy class, they had a really high-end, thick, soft blanket. It had like this silk edging sewn around the edges. EVA Airlines was embroidered into the middle of the blanket, but they were so nice. They were a huge theft item, unfortunately. So many of them were stolen. They slowly downgraded. I think this is probably like the third or fourth variation of the EVA blanket. They're still decent, but they're closer to what you might see on a traditional airline. Another thing that they did away with that was very unique is at the start of the flight, and again, some of that Japanese influence, they would go around and you hot rolled cotton towels to everybody with a pair of tongs. So you're just getting ready for the flight, and you can, wipe down your face, clean your hands up, get ready for your first meal. And they would do that throughout the flight. Another item that has gone by the wayside over the years is the stewardesses used to line up in the aisle, and just prior to debarking on the flight, they would all bow deeply to thank everyone for choosing their airline and flying on EVA. Unfortunately, that went to the wayside. Maybe that was more of a time constraint issue because they do have to do so much prep work, getting the first meals ready, as soon as the flight takes off. Also, those planes, people, friends and family that I mentioned, oh yeah, that flight to Taiwan was, 17, 18 hours from North America. They're always amazed, wow, you sit in a chair that long. And no, these are all wide-body planes with 2 aisles. And there's several places throughout the plane, kitchen galleys and the bathroom areas, where you can cross over from one aisle and to the other. So you basically walk laps around the plane. And it's a nice way just to get up, stretch. You can go to the back, stand up for a while. So I don't see that really as a problem. It's very comfortable. They seem to be a little more generous too with as far as when you can be out of your seat. And now at least talking about American carriers, they're very strict and you have to stay buckled up most of the time. And they tend to frown on people, walking around the galley or the airplane itself. So the comfort, it's just very relaxing. The planes are very nice, well maintained. The staff are constantly cleaning the restroom facilities throughout the duration of the flight. So every time you go in there, it's always stocked up with everything and very clean. And most of the stewardesses speak some level of English. So if you're having trouble filling out paperwork, for your arrival country, where you have to declare items you're bringing with you, that type of thing, they can usually help you fill out that form, even though the form itself is bilingual. But if you've never done it before, it might seem daunting. So just great service. And I'd love to hear your experiences if you've flown EVA Air or any of these other carriers that I've mentioned. I'd love to hear some feedback on what your experience was. Pretty much in general, you can get a cheaper flight to Southeast Asia from North America on one of the U.S. carriers. but it's usually just $150 or $200 savings, and you usually have a layover in Japan. For the difference in the quality of service, I will never fly another North American carrier internationally ever again. It's just night and day difference in the quality of everything. Well worth sometimes a small bump in price, but also the same token, if you look around, sometimes it's the cheapest option. So if you haven't flown EVA Air or Cathay Pacific, Singapore Air, give one of these airlines a try. But let me know in the comments what your experience was. Thank you for visiting the channel, and signing off till next time. And I'd love to see your comments below about your experiences with Asian airlines, in particular EVA. Thank you. Bye-bye. Austin, we arrived. Yeah.
Also, I'm driving this taxi, they're all gone.